no.
Ocho Cinco, was he a quarterback?
Your ass better call somebody.
He's gone for the touchdown. Caldwell Pope. How about that one, baby?
It's worse than entertainment today.
How did he win this game?
I hope this is bleak.
Take the hoop out of the playbook, please. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to C&B Sports. We just got done with the first week of college football, first actual week. We don't count week 0. Guys, what's your thoughts of the first week? All right, nobody's going to say nothing. All right, that was bad. I should have thrown it to somebody. All right, let's do that again. Take 5. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to C&B Sports. We just got done with the first week of college football, week 1. What's your thoughts on that, Josh? How was week 1?
It was some upsets, you know. Alabama took care of business as usual. I think Miami had a lot of overhype coming into that game. Georgia and Clemson, I did not expect that to go the way. I didn't think it was going to go that way. Thought we'd have had a little bit more offensive production. Both teams played real conservative in that game. DJ Ungalalele looked rattled out there. The running backs for Clemson couldn't block too well. Some big time upsets though, if you ask me. The biggest one I think of the weekend was Montana Grizzlies beating Washington Huskies. Like, who the hell is Montana?
I didn't even see that game.
13-7.
Yeah.
13-7. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even see that game. Bryson, you're back. You're back for you didn't get to do the predictions last week. What's your thoughts on week 1? How did that go for you?
Good and bad. Like I said, Florida, not really too impressed with them. 35-14 gets FAU. Anthony Richardson came in. You know, I can see in the future him, maybe the next Tebow era, hopefully. My biggest takeaway.
Jones too. But go ahead.
I know. I'm sorry, but I think my biggest takeaway this whole week 1 was I am scared of Bryce Young. Just watching him play and that cannon he has. Oh God, I can't imagine the numbers he's going to put up this year.
Yeah, for college, me and Bryson, we did watch some games together. I did say he will be a good college back. I think my opinion, he's going to be a little bit too small for the NFL, but we'll see. You know, you never know. There's a lot of small quarterbacks there. But, yeah, Preston, what was your thoughts on week 1?
I mean, I've been saying it for like the last 2 weeks. I'm excited college football is back. And there was a lot of great games. He started out on Thursday night. He had Ohio State and Minnesota. Now, that was a great game. And there was looking like for a minute Minnesota was going to pull off an upset. They ended up losing by 14. Great game still. Then you go through the weekend. And my impression for the first week, honestly, is you got Alabama and everybody else. Alabama looks like they're already in postseason form. Everybody else looks like they have daunting issues that they have 11 weeks to figure out. And that's going to be the key. Now, there was a couple upsets like Josh referred to. And I think that might be the story that's going to prevail through the rest of this season is how many upsets are we going to have and who's going to be able to get through the season without the least amount of damage possible. You had Oklahoma almost dropped the ball versus Tulane at home. That game had to be moved out of Louisiana because of Hurricane Ida. You had the Georgia-Clemson game, which I feel like in some ways it lived up to the hype as being one of the biggest non-conference season openers in the last 15 years. And then in some aspects of the game, it didn't. I don't think we got to see enough of the offenses. I think both teams have amazing defenses that are in Alabama's presence of being postseason ready. But DJ Uiagalelei and Georgia's quarterback, JT
Daniels.
Daniels. They had a lot of pressure going on them the entire game. They weren't able to perform, and I think that's going to be the thing this year is going to have to figure out, are either of these teams going to be able to put enough offense that could even compete with an Alabama in the SEC championship or in the postseason for the big trophy. So that's just what it is. We got week 2 now and just ready to see what it's going to be like.
And Brian, Preston is a Clemson fan. He did lose bet kind of, so he's wearing the Georgia hat tonight. And Bryson, he's a Florida fan. You know, he wasn't here last week, but we did mention the preview episode. He is a Florida fan. And Josh, obviously, with the Alabama hat on, he is an Alabama fan. So if you did not know that, but we're gonna go ahead and get it. Well, actually, let's recap. You know, we're gonna recap some of the games here. Josh, you went 4-8 on your picks this week. What's your thoughts? You know, on your record there.
All right, yeah, my thoughts are I mean, it's week one.
It's week one. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a line out of Brian Kelly's book. My picks need to be executed.
Gotcha, Preston. What's your thought? 5 and 7.
Oh wow, you're gonna cut off Josh like that?
I thought he was done. I'm sorry.
I'm done.
5 and 7.
5 and 7. Leaving a lot to be desired. I hope nobody put real money on my picks this first week because apparently I was not in postseason form.
That one dude in the comments that kept telling us he might have put money on our picks, so he might hate us right now.
I'm sorry, but I hope you listen to me about the LSU UCLA game because I called it. Okay, I called that game. Everything else was a little wash.
By the way, Chris here is 2-0 on his picks. He did say Alabama and the points, and he did say
That's the easiest one.
State.
He did say
That was the easiest one.
Time out. I did say Notre Dame was going to win, but if they were not going to cover the spread. That's exactly what I said. So I'll take 2-0. I'm not keeping my record, but
well, I called the Penn State one outright.
Yeah,
I think that's the one that
Yeah, you did. And Bryson's going to be getting his record this week. We'll see how he does. All right, but let's recap some of the games this week. Obviously, we're going to start. We did talk a little bit about it. Whoever just wants to start off, Josh, you can start off. Georgia beats Clemson 10-3. What was your thoughts on the game? Overall, I know you mentioned some of them, but how surprising?
Yeah, I watched that game. It was kind of hard to watch. I spent all day watching football. Y'all seen my setup, 3 TVs in the living room and stuff like that. So, I watched the game, and Georgia's got a lot to clean up on penalties. You're not going to win many games with that many penalties. They've got to open up the playbook, which they leaned on their defense enough to where I don't think they needed to open up too much of the playbook. And then on the other side, Dabo Swinney and Clemson, Brent Venables is not going to be able to win every game for you. Maybe so in the ACC, but they will have a couple of teams. I don't know if North Carolina State's on their schedule, but if they are, they better watch out for the Wolfpack. But yeah, the offenses were sluggish. I was disappointed in that game as far as the offensive side. A pick six decided the game, and Justin Ross gave up on that route. That was disappointing to see him give up on that route like that. But I put that pick on Justin Ross. But it was a defensive slugfest.
Gotcha, Bryson. You watched the game. We watched the game together at the house. What was your thoughts on that game?
Like Josh said, really defensive game. I think Georgia's going to have at least a top 5 finish in defense this year in the nation. I wish I could see more, JT Daniels go to work because he's kind of living up to the hype, And DJ Ukulele, same with him. I wish I could see more product out of him. But, this is a very defensive game. And I don't know. Like I said, my prediction for the end of the season, Georgia's going to be a top 5 in defense.
Gotcha. Preston, I know you weren't too happy, but what's your thoughts on the game?
I wasn't too happy, but I said it before this game started, or before that game started, was that as long as obviously I wanted a Clemson victory. That didn't happen. But the second best thing that could have come out of that game was they didn't get blown out. They looked very good on defense. And, it came at a top 5 team in Georgia, which I think has a possibility to win out and win their division and play well versus Alabama in the SEC championship game. And if Clemson takes care of business, we've made the playoffs before. They have made the playoffs before. I'm not a part of the Clemson organization. Clemson has made the playoffs before with a loss on their schedule. They've done it twice. Notre Dame and Syracuse. So as long as they can recover from this, learn from this, put some offense together and score the first touchdown of the season next week versus South Carolina State at home, then I think everything's fine. They still have to take care of business in the ACC, like Josh said. They shouldn't have an issue there. They do play NC State in a couple weeks. If they can handle that one and get to the ACC championship game and take care of business there, I think Clemson has a good opportunity to still possibly make some noise in the playoffs era. But yeah, there was a lot to be left to be desired in that game. The offense just did not show up on either side, but I strongly point that to both defenses being elite. Jordan Davis for Georgia, their defensive tackle, monster guy. I mean, he was down the center's throat every game. And me and Chris were talking about it before the podcast. Was his numbers didn't jump off the paper? Okay, they don't come off the board like, oh my gosh.
But that boy was there. No,
he impacted the game in such a big way. No, you're fine. He impacted the game in such a big way. He was always in the face of DJ Uiagalelei and made it difficult for him to make anything. And he had nothing to show for it. 2 yards rushing at the end of the game for a grand total of like 180 yards offense. That's just not known as of what Clemson does on offense. So they have a lot to do on offense, but I think they can fix it this week, get the ball rolling, and hopefully they can make some noise in the postseason.
You're right about that. Number 99 was Eaton. I was screaming for him the whole time during that game when they were on the defensive end. If you do see me looking away, we are watching the Ole Miss and Louisville game. So if you are on YouTube, we are watching that a little bit here and there. So if I do look away, if you are on the YouTube version, that's what we're doing. But let's get into the next game. Yeah, Ohio State, Minnesota, Thursday night game. Minnesota came out strong. Ohio State didn't. But Ohio State did bounce back and come back and win and cover the spread, 45-31. Josh, what's your thoughts on that game, and what's your thoughts on Ohio State's performance?
All right. Well, Ohio State come out a little sluggish, but you have to consider the environment. The Big Ten didn't do them any favors sending them to Minnesota, the first game of the season conference opponent. I'm glad they covered because that was my lock of the week. And Minnesota's running back, looks good. But, yeah, Ohio State, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Minnesota's not a pushover. Minnesota, I would equate Minnesota in the SEC as someone probably like Ole Miss as far as can play with you. They got a good quarterback. Ohio State just has some early game jitters, first game jitters on the road in the rain. A lot of people. I hate Ohio State, and I don't like them very much. But I got to give credit where it's due. They look good, and I expect them to be in my top 4 tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I did catch some of that game. The Ohio State quarterback, C.J. Stroud, he looked a little, jittery, a little nervous at the beginning, coming into his freshman, and he missed.
Olave is no joke.
Yeah, he was really good, but the quarterback did miss some passes at the beginning, but. He bounced back. They all bounced back. In the Minnesota, we'll see what the Minnesota running game can do without, the guy. He got what's his name?
Muhammad
Ibrahim.
Yeah, Ibrahim. He did get hurt out for the season, I believe. We'll see what their running game could do without it because they do run the ball a lot. But Bryson, what's your thoughts on the game? Actually,
I ain't gonna lie, I was probably already bed when that game was being played. But
what's your thoughts on Ohio State? Barely hanging on.
Like Josh said, I think first game jitters really. I think they'll be fine. I'd say give a couple weeks and they'll be back to probably a top 4 tier team. Gotcha.
Preston, you watched that game. I know. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I was watching it, and it was very exciting in the first 3 quarters, 3.5, honestly. Minnesota actually, at home, went into halftime 14-10. And I think I was texting y'all, and I said, I like Minnesota for this upset. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I 100% agree with both of you. First game jitters. It was a Thursday night. All eyes on them. They were the only game playing. So I think that's going to, come into play why it was as close as it really was. Because realistically, I believe Ohio State's probably 21 points better than Minnesota 6 weeks down the line. But it also was that Minnesota caught them on such a early part of the season, the first game of the season, when they have a new quarterback. They still have Chris Olave, which he's a game changer in any game that he plays in. But, C.J. Stroud had to get the jitters out, figure out how to play with the offense because you can play with them and be awesome and practice every day of the week. But getting into a game when someone's actually trying to take the ball away from you, trying to beat you, I think makes it a little more difficult. Plus, they were in a full-capacity stadium up there in Minnesota. I think that really does play into what made it as close as it was. But I give it a couple weeks, and Ohio State's going to get back to true form, and I think they're going to be ready to go for the end of the season.
Gotcha. I do agree there. I believe Ohio State will be back. Let's get into the next game, the first, real upset of the week. North Carolina, like I said, I thought they were ranked a little high, number 10. They did lose to Virginia Tech. Both of you guys, I believe both of you took North Carolina. Yeah, I know Josh, he was talking highly of the quarterback. What's his name?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. Talk highly of him, but he did struggle. Josh, what's your thoughts on that game?
All right. Yeah, he hurt himself a little bit with the pro football analysis in that game. You know, he threw 3 interceptions. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really watch that game too much. It was on the smaller TV. But yeah, North Carolina, you know, where that game was in Blacksburg. Was that game in Blacksburg? Yeah.
Yes,
Virginia
sir.
Tech, full crowd. Virginia Tech's defense looked to be really good. Maybe they're getting back to their roots of having good defense. But yeah, very disappointed in Mac Brown and his Tar Heels going out there and getting beat when they had such lofty expectations that they can turn it around though.
Bryson, I know you probably, that was another late game during the week. I know you work late, but, what's your thoughts on North Carolina losing?
I picked that game up a little bit. I was kind of surprised. I thought Sam, but that's his name, correct? The quarterback, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, he was supposed to be, I heard maybe a Heisman contender, but he didn't look too strong in my opinion. Maybe they can have bounce back, but I don't think North Carolina's going to live up to the hype this year, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Preston, what's your thoughts?
I 100% was not watching this game as closely as I wish I had of now. But every time I looked at the game, Virginia Tech, when I first looked at it, was up by 14. And at no point in this game was I really concerned with North Carolina being able to dominate that game. They were not the best team on the field. And going into this game, I would have 100% thought – I did 100% think they were going to be the best team. On paper, they're the best team out there. I don't know how much of being the first game of the season, the jitters of that come in there like we were talking about the last game. I don't know how about the field and how the fans came into it. I don't know. It was a head scratcher. I didn't think I didn't think Virginia Tech was going to be able to compete as closely as they did with North Carolina. But when you throw 3 interceptions, this is what's going to happen. And like Josh said, Virginia Tech looks like they're trying to get back to where they were in the Coastal Division, when they ran that division, when they were able to, run the ACC. And I don't think they're close to being able to do that as of right now. But you give it 11 more weeks, this team could make some noise in the ACC, could give somebody some headaches. And I think they might be ranked when the next rankings come out. I wouldn't be surprised if they can continue this up. I mean, defense does win you championships. It's the old saying. You keep playing like this, keep making turnovers to a highly rated quarterback like Sam Howell, turn the ball over, you're going to win some games. Now, you're going to have to put up some more points than 17. 17 is not going to be enough in every game. It sure was enough in the Clemson-Georgia game, but in other games, you're going to need to put up some points because there are teams in the ACC and there are other teams in the other conferences in college football that can put up some points. So you need to be able to slow them down and put up some points as well. And I was very impressed with Virginia Tech. I did not pick that game right.
Gotcha. Let's get on to the next game. Another close game here. Defensive battle in Penn State and Wisconsin. I did watch this game. I was watching this game actually at Bryson's house, and I thought Wisconsin was going to come down and score towards the end, but they did not. Josh, what's your thoughts on that game? I know you caught a little bit of that game watching other games. What's your thoughts on that game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would definitely watch that game. 2 big schools in the Big Ten, got to tune in on that. I love it that they played the first game of the season, give us something really good to watch for the viewers. Penn State that game went is exactly how I expected. Mm-hmm. I figured it would be low scoring. Both teams were going to try to pound the rock, play action pass, and Penn State ended up forcing Wisconsin to have to pass the ball, and that let loose Penn State's strong point, which is their secondary. And they were able to come away with an interception at the end of the game to seal the deal. One right before that, to kind of almost seal the deal. And then Wisconsin gets the ball back. But, yeah, that game was a good game. And Ohio State better watch out for Penn State.
Gotcha. Yeah, Penn State, they should play. They play them pretty soon, don't they? Is it early they play them this year?
I think it's a couple of weeks away.
A couple of weeks. Gotcha.
Like week 4, week 5, maybe week 5. I know Auburn plays Penn State in week 3.
Gotcha. Ooh, that's a good game too. Bryson, I know I was at your house during that time. We were both a little busy at your house. I hate how that game was at 12 o'clock. I did hate that. But Bryson, do you have any thoughts on that game?
It's kind of what I expected, a close game, coming down. It's going to come down to the end. I had, I know I wasn't here last week to make the predictions, but I actually had Penn State winning that game, and it's pretty much what I thought was going to happen.
Gotcha. Preston, I know we were talking about back and forth about that game. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, like Josh was talking about, I mean, it lived up to what the Big Ten, what they pride themselves on: low scoring, running affairs, tough football. I think I didn't pick this game again correctly. I definitely think Wisconsin was going to be able to take care of business at home, but it was a low scoring game. I mean, it went into halftime 0-0. I mean, that tells you all you need to know for this game. Penn State just did a better job of being able to put the pressure on Graham Mertz at the end of the game. I mean, he threw 2 interceptions, and that was the game changer. You also, if you're going to throw an interception, which you don't want to, you can't do it towards your own end zone. And he did that twice, and that ended up being the game changer. And it just killed their options. Wasn't able to, put enough points on the board. So tough game, but hopefully they need to put it together so that Penn State and Wisconsin can give some teams in the Big Ten some trouble down the line.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. We're going to go to the next game here. Another game that was happening at the same time. We were texting back and forth, and I was watching, more of the Penn State, Wisconsin, but I know you guys were watching Oklahoma barely hanging on and beating Tulane. That was a heck of a high-scoring battle. I didn't, I was watching the Wisconsin's game, and I didn't get to see much of it. I turned towards it to the end when Tulane was driving, but, couldn't end up getting it done. Josh, what's your thoughts on that game?
Well, my 3 TV setup was great Saturday, like it is every Saturday. I had that game on the small TV as I was watching, Penn State and Wisconsin, or whatever other game was on. I think it was Penn State, Wisconsin. But I had it on the small TV, and I kept looking over there at it, and I had a bunch of people at my house, and I was like, hey, man, look at this. Look at this. And then I'd look down there again, and Tulane would be driving, and I'm like, it's good to see that everything's back to normal, including Oklahoma's defense. That it's like
the world's coming back together.
I could not believe what I was seeing on the screen, and Tulane was playing with a lot of emotions. They did get to use Alabama's practice facility, but they did miss 1 day of practice. And I got to thinking, what if they had that extra day of practice? Oklahoma might have been in trouble. But Oklahoma was in a position to lose that game. I know a lot of Sooners will be like, where we were up, we let them score late, blah, blah, blah. No, they got the onside kick, and they were this close from getting a first down on 4th and 10 as the game was going down to the end. Oklahoma definitely has some defensive problems to work out. Spencer Rattler underperformed big time, took his name right out of the Heisman race for right now with one touchdown pass, 2 interceptions. I think he had 300 yards passing. But, there's several other people that surpassed him on the Heisman race. But Oklahoma shouldn't have nothing to worry about. I think they got out of there with a win. It's what they wanted. It's not how they wanted. But, Oklahoma should be okay.
Gotcha. Bryson, I know that was another 12 o'clock game that was close, but I know you're always not really of an Oklahoma believer. What's your thoughts on the game?
Not what I expected for them. Like Josh said, I think they got a lot of work to do on defense. Not what I expected for Spencer Rattler. I actually had him, possibly winning the Heisman this year. But after that performance, gets Tulane, it's hard to see it. And there's so many other people I could put, above him now. So I think they'll be all right. Maybe first game jitters, who knows? But I think they'll be all right.
Gotcha. Preston, what's your thoughts?
I watched this game very closely, and I was very, very entertained. Now, there was a point in the second quarter where Oklahoma scored 23 unanswered points in the second quarter alone. At the very beginning of this game, Tulane came out, and they scored fast, and they played tough, and they looked like the better team. And then you get into the second quarter, and then Oklahoma does Oklahoma things. They were able to put up some points. They look like, okay, this is going to be – that was a good first quarter. We're going to take it from here. We're going to, show what we can do. That wasn't the case. That was not the case. Tulane came back, and they played 60 minutes of hard football. Okay? I remember I texted y'all in the group chat. I said, Tulane got the onside. Tulane got the onside because they just came and scored a touchdown. Yeah. Now, they had a little bit of questionable play calling in that game. I don't know how much of that came where they were just trying to swing for the fences or put all their eggs in one basket, throw the kitchen sink at them. But there was a little questionable play calling, and I think I don't think it would have changed the outcome, but that last drive I think really did. They had scored really easily in the fourth quarter, it seemed like, and they were able to move the ball, but the first 3 plays of that final drive for them just didn't do it for me. I think that possibly changed the outcome of this game a little more than it should have. But Tulane, Oklahoma and Texas is leaving at the end of 2025, and they're going to join the SEC. There are some teams out there that are going to put in bids to be approved to possibly join the Big 12 so the Big 12 doesn't become the Big 8. I think Tulane should be one of those teams that puts in a bid pretty soon because they played Big 12 football. And if you're going to lose 2 powerhouses like Oklahoma and Texas, you need to be able to replenish them with enough teams. Tulane plays in Louisiana. If the Big 12 could expand to that market, I think that'd be pretty nice. You're going to join the SEC in their own background. I was very entertained with this game. I absolutely loved it. I think their quarterback, Michael Pratt, is awesome. That is one tough dude. He was taking hit after hit. He got it every time. He was limping. He didn't want to leave that game. He played with heart. I was proud of him. I had never seen the guy play before until that, and I'm a Michael Pratt fan now. So I will be watching Tulane to continue on. I was just very entertained with this game, and I think Oklahoma, they have a lot of issues on defense. I think it's kind of going back to normal, but I do think they'll probably put it together, and we'll see the Oklahoma of old where they're able to put it together for 10 weeks. Then the last 2 weeks of the season, they start to sputter, then get blown out in the playoffs, and I think that's what we're going to be accustomed to again.
Gotcha. We're going to go on to a game that wasn't that close. We all picked this game. We all saw this coming from a mile away. Josh knows. And I don't think the experts did. A lot of experts picked Miami, surprisingly, which I thought was stupid. But, Josh, we can keep this one a little bit short and sweet. What's your thoughts on Alabama's win?
My thoughts are the defense is as advertised throughout the offseason, throughout fall camp. We did lose a big-time pass rusher in Chris Allen, but you got Drew Sanders stepping in right behind him, another 5-star recruit who plays really well. Bryce Young went through his progressions very well. He had opportunities to take off running, and he's been known, if you look at his high school tape, he does like to take off running. But I think Bill O'Brien toned that down a little bit. And Steve Sarkisian last year, he's had some good coaches. He's been coached up right. And he played real mature out there Saturday afternoon. The running game, if there's anything that Alabama needs to work on, it's going to be the offensive line gelling for the run block and the running game. I think they're stacked in the running back room, and there may be some issues in there about who's going to play and do what. But Trey Sanders coming back from a car accident, from a football injury. He has significant injuries in his career. He's came back, looks 100%, and he should, by probably week after Florida, midway through the season, he'll probably be the head dog in that running back room. You're not going to be able to keep him off the field. But, yeah, offensive line needs a little bit of work, but Bryce Young moves with the pressure and keeps his eyes downfield.
Gotcha. Bryson, we talked a little bit about this game. What's your thoughts on Alabama stomping Miami?
I have no idea what the experts were smoking this past weekend, them picking Miami, most of them. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody with common sense would have picked Alabama in this game. I ain't got much to say except for one thing is I am scared of Bryce Young, honestly. He is just going to tug.
What about the defensive side? Alabama, Alabama's got a strong defense. They always got a strong defense. And the running back too. I remember we talked about the running back a little bit.
Yeah, their defense looks strong like they do every year. I can't remember his name. I think his last name was Robinson for the running back.
Yeah, Brian Robinson.
Yeah, but me and Chris talking about he's not. Most Alabama running backs are usually big and like bulky, but he's like small and quick. So I think he's going to have a hell of a season. But like I said, Bryce Young, I'm scared to see what he's going to do.
Gotcha, Preston. Any thoughts on the stomp?
It's Alabama football. I mean, just buckle up. We're going to have to deal with this again for about 15 weeks. They, kind of cemented their place as the best team in the country right now. And, everybody else has got to play catch up. I think there's going to be a couple teams out there that could compete with them. But with that defensive line, their offense they run, I mean, Bryce Young, man, I don't know. I think he might have just taken over the Heisman votes, and you're going to have to do something special. If he plays like this every week, you're going to have to do something special to beat that guy because he's amazing.
I'd pump the brakes on the Heisman. We'll wait until they actually play a decent football team. No offense, but Miami.
In 2 weeks.
In
2 weeks, we'll go to Gainesville in the swamp and
we'll
see what he can do there.
Yeah,
Because
we'll see what he does.
have
And I think Josh agrees with me. I mean, I know he likes Bryce Young too, but he still's got to prove himself a little bit. You know, he's still a young guy. He's still got to prove himself. But let's go into the next game. One of the games that we're going to watch this week, actually, Iowa State. They barely hung on and beat Northern Iowa, which was surprising. I know I didn't catch this game. I don't know if none of you caught this game. That we don't even have to really talk about it a lot. But, what's your thoughts on – Josh, what's your thoughts on, Iowa State barely hanging on?
Yeah, they got some issues over there at Iowa State, letting Northern Iowa. I didn't write them down, but I was looking at the stats, man, and because you could tell a lot from the game stats on how much yards was gained and stuff like that, first downs made. And, Iowa State didn't perform very well. And, they're going to have to do something if they want to try to compete with Oklahoma and even Texas in the Big 12 if they want to try to finish. I see them – as of now, I see them finishing third or fourth in the Big 12.
Gotcha. Bryson, any thoughts? I know we both didn't. I didn't catch that game. And I didn't know this game was this close until I looked at it this morning. Bryson, any thoughts on Iowa State barely hanging on?
Like you said, I didn't really catch this game at all, really. But if they're going to play football, they got a lot of work to do. Like I said, I didn't realize how close the game was either. But I just think they got a lot of work to do. Gotcha.
Preston, I know. Did you catch any of this game? Any thoughts?
I caught the highlights. Iowa State didn't blow me away. Again, first game of the season. We'll see how much that comes into play. They have a big game this week versus Iowa. Game day is going to be there. They're hosting it. But Brock Purdy really kind of just looked like a game manager. Looking at his stats, he's 21 of 26 for 199 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. High completion percentage. Didn't really seem like he did a lot in that game. They're going to have a big test on their hand this week, but they're going to have to do a lot better to be able to win this Big 12 because as of right now, I don't see them doing any better like what Josh said. Third, second best.
Gotcha. And I don't know, guys, did you have any other games you guys want to talk about before we get into predictions? I think that kind of wrapped up a lot of them. Was there any other games?
We got a lot of work to do.
Talking about in Florida.
A lot of work. I try to have high expectations for us, but good God, after watching that, I'm scared. Week 3 is going to be rough. I mean, rough. Alabama's going to come to the swamp and tear us up. That's all I got to say.
Josh, any thoughts?
The LSU UCLA game.
I missed that one. Yeah, that was on there. I missed that game.
I just wanted to say real quick, I thought LSU would pull away late in that game when we picked the game, but when the game kicked off and after the end of the first quarter, I knew UCLA was there to win. And I don't know if y'all seen that video that I sent on Twitter with Coach O walking into the stadium and some UCLA guy giving him flack, and he with your sissy blue shirt, with them sissy blue shirts whooped your ass. Yeah. That's what I got to say to Coach O. I really don't like that dude. I think he's got no class. He got out coached in that game. His team was not prepared at all. Derek Stingley Jr. missed a handful of tackles, the arm tackling, the fundamentals. LSU does not have any freaking fundamentals of football right now. And if they don't rally, they're going to be a 4-win team this year. They're only going to win 4 games, and it's not going to be hardly any conference games.
So do y'all think Coach O's going to be in the hot seat?
Oh, yeah.
After this season, if they go 4 games, if they only win 4 games, yes. But I don't know. I mean,
he's another Gene Chizik, caught lightning in a bottle like Gene did with Cam Newton. Yeah. Joe Brady and Joe Burrow was that team of 2019. And I don't know how – I mean, you can blame it on COVID or whatever, but you come back and only win 5 games out of 10 the following year, and then the next year you go back up – you go up to UCLA to try to prove yourself, and you don't prove shit. And Chip Kelly's a great coach, and he out-coached Coach O, and he showed a real class act at the end of that game by talking about what LSU had been through and everything else before he talked about his own team, something Coach O would have never done. Coach Orgeron went through a divorce right after he won the national championship, and so he had a lot of stuff going on in 2020. But there's no excuse for that. And yeah, my prediction is that he'll be out of there this year, probably before the season ends, because they don't play it down there in Baton Rouge.
I agree with Josh 100%. I believe that he's going to be gone by the end of this season.
Gotcha. Preston, any thoughts?
About that game, yeah, I mean, the SEC, powerhouse from a couple of years ago was not his doing. It was more Joe Brady and Joe Burrow. I think last year they had to do with what they had because of COVID. This year they have no excuses. They need to come up and perform. And I mean, they just got outplayed by UCLA. They were the more physical team. They were the better team that night. So he better be looking out, or he could be finding himself a new coordinator position at the end of this year.
Gotcha. I think they need to just go ahead and give Alabama the SEC and just put everybody else in their own divisions.
One thing real quick. Kayshon Boutte, the wide receiver for LSU, he'll be a top draft pick if he's eligible for the draft this year. That dude is a beast.
I did watch that game. The only reason I know is because I had him on. I played DraftKings, and I did have him, and he did put up a lot of numbers. I think he had 2 touchdowns and
140 something yards on like 7 catches or something like that. Yeah, he's the real deal. He's a Henry Ruggs type, Devontae Smith type wide receiver.
Gotcha. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead. Actually, before we get into our predictions, for this upcoming week, guys, we'll start off with Josh. We'll start off with Josh here. We've been starting off with Josh the whole time. What's your player of the week? Do you have a player of the week?
Yeah, I do. This week? And it's going to throw y'all off, but I do got a player of the week. Let me pull it up real quick. Won't take but a second. Gotcha. His name is Kenneth Walker III, Michigan State running back. 23 carries, 264 yards, and 4 touchdowns against Northwestern.
You said 4 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns, 264 yards, 11.5 yards per carry against Northwestern, whose defense has been good in recent years. Michigan State's running back, dude. 23 carries. It went like he had 40 carries. He had 20. I mean, he averaged over 10 yards per carry. Mm-hmm. So that's my player of the week.
Gotcha. Bryson, did you have a player of the week? I don't know. That one's going to be hard to beat. I didn't see him. But, Bryson, did you have a player of the week at all?
Yeah, that's going to be hard to beat. But, just me watching is, like I said, I got to say his name again, Bryce Young.
4 touchdowns.
It's just
gotcha.
I mean, you can't beat that, but I am scared of Bryce Young this year.
Gotcha. Preston,
Bryce had 4 touchdowns as well, 344 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, broke the record that was held by Joe Namath and Mac Jones for the most passing yards and touchdowns in his first game starting.
Oh, okay. So, that could compete too. I didn't realize he was that high statistically. Honestly, after Alabama got up about 21-0, I turned it off. I told you let's go to the next game. So I didn't watch it after that one. But Preston, what's your player of the week this week?
Well, I hate to disappoint you guys. You had great picks. These guys played amazing. But I was raving about him earlier in the game, or earlier in the podcast. My pick for the player of the week, Michael Pratt, Tulane quarterback, went 27 of 44 for 296 yards. 3 touchdowns in the air. He was the leading rusher for Tulane, 15 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown, accompanied for 4 touchdowns against Oklahoma's defense, which that alone isn't that incredible. But the grit and the toughness and the love of the game that he played with was the thing that I think put him above everybody else this week. Now, in no way, shape, or form do I think he's a Heisman frontrunner. I don't think he's going to be able to compete for the Heisman. They don't have enough meat on their schedule. But what he played with and played for on Saturday – and the toughness he showed, I think, put him as the player of the week for me. I mean, he put them in, kept them in that game. And I think it was just amazing to be able to watch something like that. You don't get to see performances like that all the time. Usually if you're down by 23 points in the second half or in the second quarter, some players give up. He didn't give up. He played with everything he gave, everything he had, played 115%, left it on the field, and they came up short. But great performance and player of the week for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we got, I didn't write them all down, but we had some honorable mentions. The Minnesota running back, Totally forgot his name again.
Abraham.
He would probably be up there with the running back Josh mentioned if he didn't get hurt in the game.
Mackenzie Milton for Florida State.
I was going to
a great feel-good story. Florida State's coach is shooting himself in the foot for going for it on 4th down inside the 40-yard line and for not starting Mackenzie Milton in that game because they could have won.
Yep.
They could have won.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that game. I totally missed that game. But, yeah, that was a heck of a game going into overtime. Also, I believe it was Notre Dame's quarterback. He came and he had some good numbers over there too. Yeah, he
had better numbers than Bryce Young.
Yeah, he had great numbers. I know he would have – yeah, he was could probably be your player of the week too. I didn't have all the numbers written down, but
that used to be Wisconsin's quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Cone, yeah, he was Wisconsin's quarterback at one time. Yep. But I think that's it for going into last week. Let's go ahead and go into this upcoming week, week 2. We're going to start off here, Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Josh, you had to mention to me, I definitely thought Tennessee was favored in this game, and I wrote it wrong, but Pittsburgh is favored, -3 at Tennessee. Josh, what's your pick in this game?
Dude, there's going to be so much puke orange going crazy in that stadium. That is the ugliest shade of orange of all the oranges that I hate.
Thank you.
That is the ugliest shade of orange. It's like a pale yellow puke orange. And that's the orange you can't even sit with. That's why I don't go to a game up there. I'd turn around and face the river the whole game so I wouldn't have to look at that orange. That's going to help Tennessee keep it close. Both teams have had easy wins. Pittsburgh's got the advantage at quarterback, I believe, and that's going to be the difference maker. But the crowd will be a factor. Wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee pulled the upset there. But I think Pitt goes in and gets the job done until Tennessee can prove otherwise that they can win a big-time game versus a big-time opponent.
All right, so you're taking Pitt in the points. All right, Preston. Yep. Oh, we'll go with Bryson first. I don't know if you looked at the game too much. Pittsburgh at Tennessee. Pittsburgh's favored by 3. What's your thoughts? Who do you got in this game?
I got to agree with Josh. That's some ugly orange. I think our orange is a little bit better. But honestly, I think Tennessee can pull it off this week. SEC football. I just believe they're playing in the old Rocky Top. So I got Tennessee going in this one.
Gotcha. And I will say one thing. My buddy Joe. I can't even remember his name. But anyway, he was talking about he was talking about Tennessee's offense, and he was saying how much of a high pace they played at. And they were playing. He said that was the most high paced team he's seen, in a long time. And he's really got a lot of football knowledge. So I would, I'd watch out. I would probably, if me, I didn't get to watch all Tennessee. I know the quarterback looks pretty good, and they have one receiver over there that's supposed to be pretty good. So, you might want to watch out for Tennessee in this game. But Preston, who'd you pick in this game?
I'm going to go with the Tennessee Volunteers. I think at home is going to be the difference maker. I think both of these teams are pretty evenly matched. The line actually just jumped recently to 3.5 in favor of Pittsburgh. So I would take Tennessee to cover this one as well. I think they're going to be able to beat them by more than 3.5. I like it. But look at Pittsburgh's quarterback. Kenny Pickett, how long has he been in college? He's a senior. I think he might be a super senior this year. They have the edge, but time will tell. Hindsight's always 20/20 at the end of the games, but I'm rolling with Tennessee to get the dub in this one.
Gotcha. Let's go into the next game. One game that I was going to pick as a big game of the week, but it's at 12 o'clock. Why are you playing this game at 12 o'clock? I have no idea. You got Oregon at Ohio State. Ohio State favored by 14 points. I'm not sure if it's still 14 right now, but Josh, who you got in this game? What you taking?
All right. So first, I want to hit on the 12 o'clock kickoff because of the media person in the Big Ten and their network or whatever wants to call it the big noon kickoff. Well, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't play a game of this magnitude. They'll play Ohio State USC at noon if the Big Ten have the media rights. Yeah, that's just dumb. All right, that's one thing the Big Ten does is stupid. They got a lot of injuries, both of these teams do. And I don't know the status. I tried to look at it at Kayvon Thibodeau for Oregon, probably one of the best if not the best defensive player in this year's class. He went out with an ankle injury. They said it looked like maybe a high ankle sprain. Don't know how much he's going to be able to be a factor in this game. Ohio State has some issues on defense, and take away nothing from Minnesota. Ohio State's defense needs to step up. I'm going to go with the Ohio State and the 14 at home against Oregon, and I like Oregon, but they didn't have a really good performance Saturday either. Oregon didn't, so. Yeah. I like Oregon, especially with. I mean, I like Ohio State, especially with Thibodeau on the injury part of his playing time.
Gotcha. Yeah, Oregon had a close game with Fresno State. That was one of the games I mentioned towards the end that I thought maybe it could be a good game. We didn't have it in our predictions, but that was a very close game. Bryson, do you have anybody in this game? Who do you think Ohio State's going to win by 14 or more? Or are you taking Oregon?
I don't think Oregon can come in there and beat them. I'm not a big Ohio State fan. They're playing that cupcake conference, but honestly, I think Ohio State at least by 3 or more touchdowns.
Gotcha. So you're taking Ohio State and the points. Preston, who you got?
I'm going to roll with Ohio State. I'm going to roll with the points as well. I think they're at home at noon. They're going to organize, have to fly across the country to get there. It's just too early for this kind of a game. I think they have better players. I think Ohio State has better players. I think that's going to be the difference maker. I think they're going to get it done.
Gotcha. And I would say I could predict a lot of people might take Oregon in this game, but I absolutely agree with you guys. I would say Ohio State's going to bounce back, in my opinion. All right, we're going to go to the big game of the week at 4:30. You got Iowa at Iowa State. The reason this was my big game of the week, it's 2 ranked teams, and it's at 4:30, not at 12 o'clock. So that's why we're doing this big game of the week. You got Iowa State favored by 4.5 after Iowa just came out and blew out. Who'd they blow out?
Indiana.
Indiana, that's who it was. Indiana. They blew out Indiana, but Iowa State still favored by 4.5, I believe. Josh, what's your thought on that game?
All right. Yeah, Iowa came out and thumped Indiana and their Heisman contender quarterback. I can't think of his name.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Penix Jr.
Yep. Michael Penix, I believe.
Yeah, he was a preseason Heisman mention. They came out 34-6. Iowa's defense is stout, forced 3 interceptions on that guy. Iowa State had a real lackluster performance against Northern Iowa. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Iowa, pull the upset in Ames with game day there. Iowa.
Gotcha. Bryson, you taking Iowa State minus 4.5, or you going to take Iowa?
I'm going with Iowa. This weekend, I think they can pull it off.
Gotcha. Any thought? Sorry, you just threw it at me. You said it real fast. Okay, Preston, your thoughts on the game? Iowa. Like you said, Iowa's defense is really good. They one of the Heisman contenders. They shut down to 6 points. Preston, what's your thoughts on the game?
This game's in Iowa State. I think Iowa State's gonna be able to turn it around. I'm gonna roll with Iowa State. So, yeah, take them straight up. I'm thinking Iowa State's going to get it done.
Really? Yeah, both good quarterbacks over here. Well, I would say the other one, you said you called him more of a game manager, but he was pretty good last year. So we'll see what happens there. I believe
so. That game is 4.5 points.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's Iowa State.
Okay.
Last time I read it was 4.5.
It dropped down to 4.
Okay, it was on. I looked on DraftKings Sportsbook, even though that's not legal here. That's what I always look at. But either way. Here we go. We got 7 p.m. Texas at Arkansas. One of the games I picked here. Texas -6. Arkansas is supposed to be decent this year, from what I heard. Josh, what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, the Rice Owls go into Fayetteville and make a game of it with Arkansas. Arkansas pulled away late. Texas surprised me, winning by 20 as an 8.5-point favorite over the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana, who is a good team. That is a good team. Steve Sarkisian is a good coach. It's hard because I'm an SEC guy, and, Texas is going to be coming into the SEC, and if Texas goes into Arkansas and wins, we're never going to hear the end of it, how Texas is going to come in and win the SEC because they beat Arkansas. Arkansas is not that good this year, I don't think. I think Texas does go in there and win.
So you're taking Texas in the points?
Texas in the 6.
Gotcha.
Texas
Bryson, who would you take in this game? You got Texas -6, or you got Arkansas. Arkansas is at home.
Excuse my language, but fuck them. I cannot stand them. I got Arkansas. I cannot wait till they come to SEC, play some real football. I cannot stand Texas. I got Arkansas, underdogs.
All right. Well, we'll go with that.
Hey, that's a 15-yard penalty for the horns down. Okay.
Not in the SEC, it won't be.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, 15-yard penalty for the
I cannot
taunting.
wait till they come to every SEC school. All you go see is the upside-down horns.
Right. Preston, any thoughts on this game? Who you got?
I like Texas in the 6.5. I think they're going to cover. I think they're going to go into Arkansas. I think they're going to be able to take care of business. I think they just, they got better players. They're going to be able to take care of business this Saturday.
Gotcha. All right, let's go to the next
real
game.
quick.
Can
I add something real quick about the history of the horns up and horns down?
Uh-huh.
Horns down actually came from a Texas alum who wrote a sports paper or a section in the sports paper, said horns up, gave the positive of the game, and the next page was horns down, and it showed the Texas horns down and gave the negative parts of the game. So horns down came from Texas.
Ooh. Huh. Did not know that one. I'm not gonna lie.
A little nugget of information right there from Josh.
Gotcha. We're gonna go back to the SEC here. We're gonna go Mizzou at Kentucky. Kentucky -4.5. If you did not know, Bryson is an undercover Kentucky fan. If you did not know that, he does love Florida, but he is under the table Kentucky fan. He always tells me how good Kentucky is. No, I'm kidding. He always says Kentucky beats Florida, so that's what he always says. He's not a Kentucky fan. But Josh, what's your thoughts on this game and who you got?
All right. This quarterback for Kentucky, Levis, 4 touchdowns, 367 yards. 4 touchdowns, 367 yards from a Kentucky quarterback. I don't know when the last time that's happened. Kentucky looks to be good. I think Stoops is still their coach out there. They held ULM to 87 yards. 87 yards of total offense. Who does that? Who does that? Central Michigan outgained Missouri. Missouri was 1 of 11 on third down. The big blue crowd in Lexington is going to do this. They're going to win by more than 4. They're going to beat Missouri.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have heard some big things about the quarterback, and I saw a little bit, of him coming in the other day. But, Bryson, I know you know they're going to beat Florida. You already have that marked down on the schedule. You know Kentucky's beating Florida. You've already said that. What's your thoughts? Are you taking Kentucky -4, or are you going to take Mizzou?
Oh, Kentucky's going to win by a landslide, in my opinion. Like I've been telling you, maybe some other people from beginning of the season, Kentucky need to watch out for them this year. I think they're going to be very dangerous. But, I got Kentucky in this one.
Gotcha. Preston, any thoughts?
I'm going to roll with them. I think they're said everything that I needed to say. Kentucky's going to win this game by more than 4. I think they're going to take care of business in Lexington, and it's going to be a blue Saturday up there in Lexington.
Gotcha. Last game I got written down here is one of the premier games of the week. I believe they're playing on ESPN, a night game, 8 p.m. Washington at Michigan. Michigan, I believe, is -6. Josh, any thoughts on this game and who you got?
Yeah, when's the last time Michigan's been favored by this much over, a top-end Pac team or a top-end team from any conference? Washington in one of the ugliest games that was played on Saturday got upset by the Grizz of Montana. I had to look them up. I'm like, who is this? I didn't even know Montana. I thought they just rode horses around out there and looked at the sky because there's nothing out there. I don't know who would want to go play in Montana. But somebody did because they went out there and they beat Washington. And Washington, has a playoff appearance. And the playoffs ain't been around too long. They beat Michigan, performed well on Saturday. They beat Western Michigan 47-14, losing their top wide receiver, Bell. Maybe an issue later on down the road in Big Ten play, but they get the win here and they cover over Washington at the Big House.
Gotcha. Bryson, Any thoughts on this game? You got Michigan -6 going against Washington. I know you're more of an SEC football guy, but you can give me a pick here. Michigan -6, or are you going to take Washington?
Not a big Blue fan, I can tell you that right now. I got Washington in this one. I've just never been a big fan of Michigan. I think that's another, cupcake conference in my opinion. But I got Washington.
Gotcha. Preston, any thoughts?
Well, it's good to know that it's not going to be 100% all on one side, because I'm taking Michigan, and I'm taking Michigan big. They look like they've kind of got some stuff figured out with their quarterback. Time will tell. Washington was embarrassed in week 1. That could come into play. They might come out with a fire under their rear ends, and they might want to play a little bit better. But in Michigan, is not happening. I think Washington's going to lose. Michigan's going to win by more than 6 points. You can write that one down. That's a lock.
Yeah. Sorry, I just thought about something. I definitely entered a contest for DraftKings for this game, and I totally forgot to put in the players, so that's -$10 for me. I totally forgot about it. I just thought about that. Sorry. Anyway, bet of the week. Well, or is there any other games you guys want to talk about? Any other games?
Well, we're going to a USF this weekend, and I predict our score is probably 35-21 Florida.
So you think it's going to be closer than you want?
I mean, after last week, man, my God, I'm embarrassed, really.
Alabama, Clemson. They play. Who do they play? Anybody this week? Anybody?
No,
Clemson's got Georgia to say. Georgia comes home. Alabama's got Mercer.
No,
Mercer
70-0. Okay, go ahead.
Mercer won 70-0 Saturday night.
Oh, okay. Come on,
60,
Mercer.
They won 60-0. No lie. Georgia's got to play UAB, and they better not sleep on UAB.
Really?
I think the game's going to be a lot closer than what the Georgia faithful think. Bill Clark is a real deal coach, and they got some real deal players down there at the University, Alabama University of Birmingham. So if Georgia can't get no offense going, you don't want a 10-9, 9-6. 6-3 game.
I tell you right now, if Georgia loses to UAB, it's roll tide for me all the way. I'm rooting for Alabama.
No, they're not going to lose to UAB, but I expect it to be closer than what people think. UAB's got a real good coach, and it does come down to coaching a lot of times. And I just think that they'll be prepared. UAB will be well rested. They played on Wednesday night last week, so they'll be well rested. And UAB keep it close against Georgia for a little while.
All right.
Bye, Bryson.
We'll see you later, bud. Well, Bryson, I think he accidentally knocked out with his phone. It's all good. Yeah, we're almost to the end of it here, but guys,
he'll come back.
Okay, there he is. He came back. There he is. Hold on.
Come on back, Bryson.
All right, we're almost.
Come on back, Bryson.
They're almost.
Sorry, I was checking my phone percentage on 3%. Sorry, guys.
All right, we're about to end it right here. We're going to end it here at the bet of the week. Is there any bet of the week you guys like? Josh, do you have a bet of the week this week?
Well, I was going to go with Michigan and Washington, but Preston he wants to put that in as his lock of the week. I'm going to go Kentucky over Missouri. That'll be my lock of the week because I'm scared of the Iowa State to be lock of the week. And, I never know about Texas. But, yeah, we're going to go with Kentucky.
So, Preston, are you going to take Michigan lock of the week over Wisconsin?
That's my lock of the week.
Lock of the week, Michigan -6. Bryson. I know, you're new. You don't do much sports. You don't do much betting or anything. But, any of those games or any of them you like, the most? You think they're definitely going to win?
Yeah, like I said, Kentucky. Kentucky's going to win by four or more. My gut's telling me Arkansas is going to do something. But I got to go with Kentucky this week.
Gotcha. I think that's more of a hating Texas thing than it is thinking Arkansas is going to do something. But we'll see. But I think that's going to wrap us up. We're going to be back. We're going to
Final Four.
Final Four to date, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. I forgot to mention that. So before we leave every episode, we will mention our Final Four predictions for right now. If it was going in right now, the playoffs were starting right now, this would be your Final Four. Josh, you go first. What's your Final Four?
Going to go Texas A&M at 4, Georgia at 3, Ohio State at 2, and Crimson Tide at 1.
Gotcha. Bryson, I know, this was kind of late. We kind of mentioned to you late, but do you have, any Final Four predictions? If you don't, any team that you suspect to be in the Final Four, when it comes to them.
Can I just say Bama, Bama, Bama?
You can if you want.
That's 3. So there's your
Bama.
4th spot.
Okay, sorry. No, I think it's going to end up. I think Oklahoma's going to bounce back. I got mine at.
But if you were talking about today, since Oklahoma, Oklahoma didn't have it today. Yeah, right now, what would be your Final Four? You think?
I would go Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, you still got Oklahoma sneaking in there just because they. Yeah, I mean it was a close game. Preston, you know what? What's your thoughts and what's your Final Four?
I got a little crazy one for you, okay? Got a little crazy one for you. Bama 1, Ohio State at 2, Oklahoma or Georgia at 3. Or actually, I'm sorry, Georgia 2.
I think I know the next team.
Georgia 2, Ohio State at 3, Cincinnati at 4.
I knew
Cincinnati
that was
is good. I mean, they're better. I know it was literally 2 shows ago. I said Cincinnati would be the team that could do it, make the playoffs. And if there's some more havoc and they go undefeated and they play the way they did, if the playoffs was to start tomorrow and the committee was going to pick their 4th team, I don't think Oklahoma is better than Cincinnati right now. Cincinnati gets my 4th spot.
Gotcha. And that quarterback, I know the quarterback in the first corner. I know they played Miami of Ohio, but he didn't have Bryson. What are you doing over there, boss?
My phone was on 1%, so I had to run.
All right, we're almost done. All right, but Miami of Ohio, brother. Cincinnati did play Miami of Ohio, but the quarterback had like 3 or 4 touchdowns in the first quarter. That was, I know I was talking about it and I saw a little bit of it, but that was kind of crazy. But yeah, he could be a sleeper for Heisman, maybe possibly if down the road, depending on who they play. But yeah, I think that's going to end it. We're going to go, we're going to try to do the episodes on Monday. So we're going to try to do it Monday, have the episodes out by Tuesday or Wednesday before. So, guys can get, if you want to bet with us, if you actually want to put money on our picks, you can. I don't recommend it, but if you want to, go ahead. But I think that's going to end it. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Peace.